Well, here's an interesting story coming up. A fire at the residence of a Delhi High Court judge, Justice Verma, has now led to the recovery of a massive pile of cash. This has triggered off shockwaves within the judicial circles. The judge is now under fire over this incident. In fact, what really happened? Let's tell you. It reportedly happened on the 14th of March, which prompted the Supreme Court Collegium, which is of course led by Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna himself, to order his immediate transfer to the Allahabad High Court. In fact, Justice Verma was reportedly out of the town when a fire broke out at his home. Now then, his family was prompted to call the fire brigade as well as the police. And then the fire was extinguished. Officials discovered a large sum of cash inside one of the storerooms. Well, the local police documented the recovery and they also escalated the matter to senior officials. Eventually, they alerted the higher authorities in the government as well. In fact, the developments soon reached CJI Sanjeev Khanna as well, who then convened an immediate and urgent collegium meeting to discuss the issue as well. In fact, the collegium unanimously decided on Justice Verma's transfer, moving him back to his parent High Court in Allahabad, where he had previously served before being appointed to the Delhi High Court in October 2021. However, some of the members of the five-judge collegium have raised concerns that merely transferring the judge would not be sufficient in a case of this magnitude. They warned that failing to take stricter action could tarnish the judiciary's credibility and even erode public's trust in the institution. In fact, let's tell you a bit more about the unaccounted cash which has been now recovered. In fact, this is the scandal which has hit the Delhi High Court. Huge amount of cash has been found inside a room inside the house of the Delhi High Court Justice. In fact, let's also tell you, here's what the rule says. It says that after receiving a complaint, the Chief Justice of India can seek the judge's response. In this case, it is Justice Verma. The rule also goes on to say if there is a response which is not satisfactory as per the Chief Justice of India as well as the collegium, then what happens? In that case, the CJI can set up an in-house inquiry committee. So these are what are the provisions which are already there as per the system. If there is also misconduct which is serious, then the CJI can ask the judge to resign as well. So these are the options. Essentially, first option was to set up an inquiry to seek a response and perhaps take action. That action could also go all the way up to initiating the removal process of a Chief Justice if the CJI and the collegium sees it fit. In fact, let me go across to Bhavtosh, who's joining us. Harish is also there with us, our legal editor. Bhavtosh, I'm going to come to you first about the probe. Can you tell us what the sequence of the events are and what really led to this discovery of cash in a senior judge's house, that too the judge of the Delhi High Court?
As far as the sequence of event is concerned, Meghna, we are at Tughlaq Road Police Station and the call on 14th of March is concerned was made at around 11:30 p.m. In fact, the security guards who were posted outside his residence, they were the ones who in fact informed the police station that there is a smoke that is billowing out of his storeroom, and the police then informed the fire department. The fire department, in fact, because the call was of a minor category, less than category 3, they sent 2 fire tenders. Now, it was dubbed as a small fire. The 2 fire tenders reached the residence. It was not even the resident, it was an outhouse, and they started dousing the fire. It was immediately controlled. But when they went inside the storeroom, because it is part of the fire control manual, they found huge stash of cash. Now that in fact alerted the fire department. They called up this seniors, then they informed the police station. The police station in the dead of the night informed the senior police officers. Senior police officers then prepared a report, in fact called up the top brass of the Delhi police. Top brass of the Delhi police then informed the Home Ministry, and then the government wrote a letter to the Chief Justice of India. Then collegium was called in and it was then decided that some kind of action should be taken against Justice Verma. But having said that, Justice Verma's own career has been a checkered career. There was an FIR that was filed against him, but people close to him had said that FIR of the CBI involving a banking fraud in which a sugar cooperative was involved, that was filed in 2018, but by then he had already resigned from that sugar cooperative. So one has to wait and see what will happen. Will this entire case be limited to just transferring him to Allahabad High Court, or will the Collegium take a sterner action against him, or will it ask for a probe by a federal probe agency?
Well, this is very interesting. We'll come back and discuss more about the antecedents of the judge as well. But Bhavtosh has given us a chronology of what really led to the recovery. But after that, what happened? Let me go across to Harish Nair. Harish, you must explain to us what the steps, the recourses which were available to the Collegium, and why did it see it fit to transfer this judge? Is there any probe in addition to that, or what is the action overall which has been taken?
Yes, Meghna, in fact, the top legal luminaries are already reacting saying that they're almost of the view that this mere transfer of the judge is not enough. Some action need to be taken, like in most cases, till an inquiry outcome, at least restrain him, take away all the judicial work from that particular judge. And also, in fact, some of the Collegium members were of the view that mere transfer won't suffice, because this is an issue affecting the dignity of the judiciary, defaming the judiciary, maligning the top judiciary, and also casts an aspersion. In fact, erodes the credibility of the judicial system in the eyes of the general public. So more needs to be done, and as per the procedure, there is a procedure available, like the Chief Justice can ask the resignation of the particular judge or suspend him pending inquiry, and then commence an in-house probe, setting up a panel of Supreme Court judge and two Chief Justices of High Court, and wait for its reply before taking further action. And there is also an option of impeachment by the Parliament. 100 MPs of the Lok Sabha has to submit a representation to the Lok Sabha Speaker if it is Lok Sabha MPs. 50 MPs of the Rajya Sabha can submit a memorandum to the Rajya Sabha chairman. So there are several options as far as dealing such a judge is concerned. And also, as you rightly said, it's one of the biggest scandals to hit the judiciary in recent times. Once again, bringing back the debate as far as corruption in judiciary is concerned. So even in the Collegium, which had in principle decided to transfer this particular judge, there were differences. Some of the Collegium members telling the Chief Justice that mere transfer of this judge is not enough. Some action needs to be taken, at least withdraw judicial work from him pending the inquiry. And very importantly, that particular judge has not come to the Supreme, he's not sitting in the Supreme Court, Delhi High Court today. According to the court staff, he has taken leave. So that is also another indication that he's expecting some kind of action against him. So we'll have to wait and watch whether the Collegium decides to withdraw judicial work from him, as demanded by several top legal luminaries like Indira Jaising, which we have been carrying.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. So Justice Verma, who is now under the scanner, has not turned up at the High Court today. He's actually gone on leave, is what Harish Nair tells us. What happens next? Well, we also have two panelists who are joining us today on the show. We have Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer. Shailesh Gandhi, a former CIC, is also joining us. I'll just come to you in a bit, gentlemen. But before that, let me also tell our viewers how the decision which was taken by the Collegium has indeed triggered off tremors, as Harish was also telling us. In fact, according to Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal, the judiciary should look into the way that judges are appointed, and the silence of the Collegium over this incident is sending a wrong message. Watch this.
First of all, I am not aware of any of the facts. If the Supreme Court Collegium is seized of the matter, the Supreme Court Collegium will take action on it if they wish to take action. I mean, I'm not aware of any of this. I have also read it in the newspaper. So I don't want to comment in any way one way or the other. But certainly the issue of corruption within the judiciary is a very serious issue, and this is not something that has been articulated by senior counsel and lawyers in this country for the first time. It's been going on for years and public statements have been made. So I think that it's time for the Supreme Court to start looking at issues of how the appointment process should take place, that it should be more transparent, appointments should be more carefully done. There's another judge of the Allahabad High Court, as you know, against whom the Collegium called him for an explanation, and he chose not to respond to their direction that he should apologize. This is what I've heard. I mean, I'm not myself privy to any of this.
So let me go across to Shailesh Gandhi. You've been a former CIC, sir. Where do you stand? Do you think it is adequate action which has been taken by the Collegium, a transfer back to the Allahabad High Court for Justice Verma?
This is certainly not adequate. And what is happening is delays have become endemic to the Indian judicial system. First in, first out is not the principle that's followed at all. Complete arbitrariness in listing of cases, in decision making, is ruining the judicial positions at all completely. The least that should have been done is to suspend the judge in the meantime. And within a week, a report should be laid on the House of the Parliament and appropriate action should be taken. This is very sad, and it can be easily resolved by ensuring that delays of great nature do not occur, and that first in, first out is a key principle followed in deciding matters.
Questions are now being raised about what is the impression which goes out to the public. The faith in the judiciary, does that get shaken with a case like this? Swapnil Kothari, how do you weigh in?
Meghna, this is a very black day in the judicial circuit. First of all, we are very scarce judges compared to the 140 crore population that we have. And that scarce number of judges, to have people of integrity and to lose one like this, to have one like that is a rotten apple. And I don't think a transfer to the Allahabad High Court is adequate punishment for the simple reason that, if, for example, it's like transferring a general manager of a five-star hotel, a group from one of the hotel chain to the other hotel. So it doesn't have any value, it doesn't have any merit. You've been transferred from Delhi to Allahabad High Court, that doesn't mean anything. Now take a scenario where he's hearing a case tomorrow and of a case of a corruption or a bribery of a public servant. And that person, the advocate himself, stands up and says that your lordship was caught with a huge amount of cash in your own house, and you're still hearing the matter. So why should my client be punished? So that will be the absolute mockery of the justice system, the judicial system. So take the appropriate action under Article 218 of the Constitution, which is removal of a High Court judge. 124 deals with the removal of a Supreme Court judge. So this is 218. Obviously, the procedure is very well set out, that an inquiry commission is set up. Then post an inquiry, about 100 members of the Lok Sabha and 50 members of the Rajya Sabha have to sign a motion. If the House hears that motion, there has to be a special majority in that. Obviously before that, a committee is set up of a Supreme Court judge, a Chief Justice of a High Court, and a distinguished jurist. Now, once they say that, okay, fine, he's found corrupt, then it goes to both the houses, as I said, special majority, and then it goes to the President for his final order to remove the judge. So it's a very elaborate procedure that has been spelled out. The word impeachment is not used in our Indian Constitution, but the word removal has been used. So, Meghna, the point is very simple. The faith in the judiciary is the last rung or the most important prong of our democratic setup. With the executive excesses and the legislative lethargy, the judiciary is the last important citadel of our democracy, being the three pillars, along with the free press, such as your channel and other major channels, which today inform the public. Now, imagine if one of these things, today, if Times Now decides, oh, we don't want to report anything, we'll just report, something like Holi or Diwali or something like that. Imagine what is going to happen in this country. So similarly, the judiciary is very, very important for the trust to be reposed. It come news from the Collegium that he's been, a removal process has been initiated. The faith of the public has been restored in the judiciary. Otherwise, it's a very sad day a mere transfer. I don't want to comment for the moment because I'm sure the Chief Justice, on his second thoughts or maybe upon reflection by the Collegium, will take a stricter stance. It needs to take a strict stance, no question about it. No two ways about it.
It needs to set an example. I'll just come back to you, Mr. Shailesh Gandhi. Meanwhile, let's also tell our viewers how the cash pile recovery has triggered off massive ripples across the political spectrum as well. You have Congress and the RJD. They are pointing fingers at the judiciary, citing people's faith in it is now shaken. The controversy, of course, has led to doubts over all the judgments by Justice Yashwant Verma now. Watch this political slugfest.
The judicial corruption and judiciary is a very dangerous thing. The poor people believes that judiciary will give them justice, but this kind of corrupt practices, money in judges' houses is very, very serious thing. Hope the honorable judges takes it seriously and act upon it.
First of all, we were shocked when we read this in the newspaper today. We thought, how could this happen? And judiciary has the trust of the people, and the trust works on probity, the level of integrity. If that gets impacted or eroded, take it for granted, people will not look at judiciary as a savior. So, we would like to know what was recovered, how much was recovered. Somebody will have to make an authoritative statement about it because we don't know the facts as yet. The Law Minister of India should take the Parliament into confidence. It's a big issue. Chief Justice and the Collegium, I'm sure, must be informed. They've also taken some steps which we appreciate. But again, the country wants to know what next. I'm not sure whether that money has been found or recovered. Because how can you seize money if you don't register a case? Has a case been registered? You have no powers to seize anything unless there's a case registered. So there are a lot of questions which will have to be answered. Yes, of course, I have spoken to Mr. Jairam Ramesh and we'll go and request him. It's not a difficult meeting him. He's a very accessible person. He's very welcoming to members of Parliament.
But you will keep this point forward.
100%.
Well, let me go across to Shailesh Gandhi. Of course, politics has already broken up, but the larger point that everyone's making, Shailesh Gandhi, it is about the integrity of an entire institution that we are talking about, not just an individual case.
Answering a judge against whom there is serious evidence of corruption is like saying that corruption doesn't matter in Allahabad, but corruption is an important issue in Delhi. This is transferring corruption, which is completely unacceptable. I mean, any ordinary layman will tell you this. And as far as the judicial system is concerned, so long as such huge delays occur, so long as first in, first out is not accepted, corruption will thrive and get encouraged everywhere. In any system, whether it's the judiciary, the municipality or the state government, in any system, once you have inordinate delays and complete arbitrariness in how you deal with cases, corruption is bound to be there, and not taking strict action against a corrupt possible judge is ruining the judiciary.
Well, Shailesh Gandhi, do stay on with us. You've raised a very important issue here, that it is about setting a precedent. And interestingly, there have been precedents in the past. Let's remind our viewers. It was the year 2008, the very infamous cash at door scam had broken out. What really was it all about? Let's tell you. There was a packet stuffed with 15 lakh rupees which was allegedly delivered at Justice Nirmal Kaul's residence. This is Justice Nirmal Kaul. At her residence, someone rang the bell. A man came there with a bag full of 15 lakh rupees. She asked him to open, and when she saw the money, she asked her guard to apprehend him. They caught him with the money. Then what happened when Justice Nirmal Kaul, she was the judge at the Punjab and Haryana High Court. This was in 2008. The matter was then immediately reported to the Chandigarh police, and then later it was sent across to CBI. And that's when the entire plot unraveled. Apparently it was mistakenly sent to this judge, Justice Nirmal Kaul. It was actually meant to go to Justice Nirmal Yadav. The person who was carrying the message about the money apparently was confused between Nirmal Ji, he was told, but he understood and rather heard it as Nirmal Jeet. That is what we have gotten to hear. In fact, in 2021, following this revelation, Special CBI court then framed charges against Justice Nirmal Yadav. So this is the precedent that we are citing. From 2008, when this cash was delivered at the doorstep of the wrong judge, this entire case of corruption came to light against Justice Nirmal Yadav. But it was only in 2021 when the court had framed charges against Justice Nirmal Yadav. Let me go across to Swapnil Kothari. Is that part of the problem, Swapnil Kothari? The way the wheels of justice are turning, especially when it comes to one of their own. It's like Caesar's wife, must be above suspicion.
Well said. There's no question, even if it's one of your own, you have to take tough decisions, and the CJI is in a very, very commanding position to do that. He's the, as we call it, as the pater familias, the father of the Indian judiciary. So there is no question, and he has to take a call, and it has to be a strict call. Even if the judge so decides to return the entire amount of cash and says that, look, I've returned the entire amount of cash, that doesn't absolve him of anything of that sort. In fact, it was a junior who asked me this question in the morning. Of course, I would have derided that junior and scoffed at him, but I didn't, because he was a junior at the end of the day. So I said, sorry, it doesn't happen like that. If you take it, you have to pay for it, and that's the end of it. So your career, you cannot be a judge anymore. As simple as that.
Once suspicions like this come, if you're under the scanner, what is going to be the credibility of the orders, the verdicts that you're going to be pronouncing after that? Meanwhile, Times Now has also, in fact, our legal editor, Harish Nair, has spoken exclusively to Supreme Court lawyer Indira Jaising as well. Well, she said that the Collegium must immediately disclose the amount of money which was recovered and stop the speculation. Listen in. It out. Well, meanwhile, this is going to be one of our top focus stories. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the show. Shailesh Gandhi, as well as, in fact, Swapnil Kothari, as well as Shailesh Gandhi. This is going to be one of the top focus stories that we are going to be getting for you. Thank you so much for joining us. A short break. Siddharth joins you on the other side.